Nothing worth doing ever came easy.
Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation.
Never, ever quit. Never quit. Adversity makes you stronger. Don't give in, don't back down, and never stop doing what you know is right.
They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedoms. They're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way.
When they couldn't beat him, they tried to bankrupt him.
President Trump is back in a New York City courtroom.
When that didn't work, they tried to put him in federal prison.
Raided by the FBI.
When that didn't work, they even tried to kill him.
He just tried to kill President Trump.
Donald Trump still stands, ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to make America great again.
This is Donald Trump's house, brother.
This election, we all get to choose. I'm going to choose real American leadership and a real American badass. The 45th and soon to be 47th President Donald J. Trump.
Starting on day one, we will defeat inflation quickly and we will make America affordable again. I will cut your energy costs in half. It's time for the working man and woman to finally catch a break. We are going to bring back the American dream bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. When I'm back in the White House, we will restore world peace, and it will be again peace through strength. I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. And we'll put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of our country. November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America.
We all salute the same great American flag. Our best days are yet to come.
Together, we will make America great again.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tabs on Tap with Tabitha Hassell. Of course, that's me. Good morning. I hope you guys are all doing good this morning. Good morning, Glesna and Jay, Dottie, Allison, and Ryan. I hope you guys are all ready for Election Day, because I'll tell you what, it's here. I can't believe it. It's finally here. We've been working up to this momentous day for quite some time now, haven't we? And I'll tell you what, it'll be very interesting to see how it all plays out. Good morning, Monica and Rob. This was one of my canvassing shirts where, canvassing can be a little scary, quite honestly, because you really have no idea what you're walking up to. And a lot of people, especially up in the mountains, they don't know who you are. Some of these people have never had anyone come to their door before, ever, because they live in such a remote area. And so every day I wore a different type of flag type patriotic shirt. So I kept thinking, well, if they see me coming, I have magnets on my Jeep that say, Trump and Make America Great Again and things like that. And I keep thinking, well, if I have this flag looking shirt, surely they'll realize, who I am, good or bad, depending on some of these houses, mostly 99.9% good, of course. And I thought, well, I look a lot harmless wearing a flag shirt. So this is one of many I wore during my 42 days out canvassing in Georgia. It was interesting. Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Rob. Hope everyone's doing good today. Obviously, yesterday, as you guys know, I had awful allergies. It was so bad. I really didn't think I was going to be able to get through the show. I couldn't think straight. I was all over the place. Not that all that's unusual for me anyway, because there's always a lot going on here at my desk. Things you cannot see, lots going on. But Election Day, and wouldn't you know, good morning, Cindy Giordano, who is a patriot in herself and has done wonders for the Trump organization, for voting in general. I'll tell you what. Wouldn't you know, today we wake up and guess what? So much of Missouri is underwater. Probably other areas as well, but I know for sure much of Missouri is underwater. And it doesn't even make any sense to me because I know we had over 10 inches of water, but we've had more. I can recall us having, 15 inches of water, and I don't remember the flooding that's taking place like it is now. I was reading the reports last night, which also didn't make sense to me, but maybe I just don't know, or maybe I don't understand what's fully going on since I'm not there and I can't see it with my own eyes. But, I kept seeing all these reports about Iron Mountain Lake dam breaking. And I'm like, okay, I have been to Iron Mountain Lake a few times. Most people have never been there because it's a really scary place. Most people would never venture into Iron Mountain Lake. There are some very nice people there, but I'll tell you a story. Several years ago, we'd always heard the stories, don't go back to Iron Mountain Lake. There's a big story in that area where, and I used to joke about it on one of the old shows I was on. Some of you probably don't remember that, but the story was back in the day that if you go, back to Iron Mountain Lake, the people there, they're very untrusting of strangers. They all know each other. A lot of them are related, and you just don't go back there unless you know someone or you've been invited. It's a public lake, but yet it's not really a public lake. And they certainly don't want strangers back there. And the big story always is that they had a sheriff who lived on the main road going into Iron Mountain Lake, and the people got tired of dealing with him. And so they burned his house down and ran him out of town. That was on the news. It's a true story from what I understand. It's a true story. And I'm familiar with the area because my family had a cabin. You guys have heard me talk about our log cabin. We sold it a couple of years ago after someone tried to break in at 4 a.m. and murder my mother and I. We no longer felt safe there. So we sold it, but it was in the Snow Hollow area, which is not too far from Iron Mountain Lake. And if you go to Mountain Lake, there's not that much water there. I mean, there's really not that much water there. Now, I guess they could get in a situation like what we saw in North Carolina after Helene, where, if it rains a lot, there's a lot of hills and, mountainous areas there that maybe it's all draining into Iron Mountain Lake. And then I saw a report this morning from somebody who does live there who said, hey, I'm very familiar with this lake, with the engineering of the lake. I work at such and such company. And if the dam breaks at Iron Mountain Lake, it's going to be like 2 feet of water that spill out. It's not a big deal. Where is the water coming from? I don't think anyone knows. But that's beside the point. The point I am trying to get at, good morning, Joe. The point I'm trying to get at is maybe if Trump wins, maybe we will get a hold of the weather machine. What do you think about that? And I'm not saying that's what's happening right now in Missouri, but I am saying we've had an awful lot of weird things going on with the weather, and you will never convince me that it's all natural. You'll never convince me of it. Now we have another hurricane coming up through, up through the Gulf, very late in the season for a hurricane. Not that it can't happen, and it certainly doesn't affect Election Day in any way, any potential hurricane. But there's a lot of weird stuff, I think, going on with the weather. I think most of you would agree. But we're going to talk about some of the things that Trump is going to do. He did not mention weather manipulation, but I certainly hope that Trump does talk to us about weather manipulation and tell us the truth. We already know the truth, but provide some confirmation that what we all think is actually true. We're going to get into some of the things he is going to talk about. Good morning, Nancy. And yes, wearing a Trump gear and colors. That's right. Today is the day. If you're going to the polls today, I'm guessing most of you have already voted. If you're going to the polls today, please be careful. Safety is number one, really. Safety is number one. Do not drive through any flooded roadways to get to the polls. Truly, if you can't find a safe way around, it is not worth risking your life. It's not. Because I think we have the votes anyway, quite honestly. Go out and vote. Go out and vote. We need every vote we can get if you can do so safely. But I think we've got the votes. We're going to get into that. Some of the things we're going to talk about here, the threats to Trump. If Trump wins, look at all of the threats. Clearly Trump is doing this for us. His life, it's going to be under a microscope, just like it was in the past, but so much worse. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, I don't know if you guys heard about this. It's going to be a big news story if it's not already. I haven't heard as much as I expected to hear. Kind of reminds me of that story. Remember a long time ago where there was that guy in the RV who parked in the middle of a Nashville street and blew up his RV at an attempt to blow up We think AT&T. We really don't even know because no one ever told us. And the story just kind of disappeared from the headlines. No one ever talked about it again. We have no information. And it was a very significant explosion. So that's something to think about. And so I heard yesterday of this arrest. Skylar Philippi, 24 years old. He was arrested for plotting to use weapons of mass destruction against an energy facility in Nashville. He was allegedly part of a white supremacist group, is what we're told. And allegedly, he's also the 20th member of this white supremacist group that has been taken down by the feds. He is the 20th one. Their group is really disbanded now because they've all been arrested for some kind of crazy plot. His name's Skylar Robert Philippi. He was going to use drones strapped with C4, as well as some other different types of explosive devices to attack this energy facility to take down the grid, the power grid in Tennessee, of course, being there in Nashville. And it's kind of wild because, I'm not doubting this happened. I see the pictures of the FBI agents standing with him and they're all holding pipe bombs. I think it's kind of odd to see federal agents holding pipe bombs, with this person they're investigating and going to arrest. Obviously, they had the feds infiltrate this group, which is good. The last thing we want is these people. And just so you know, white supremacist does not mean Republican. It does not mean conservative. What it does mean, it's probably one of those people. And trust me, I have encountered a few of those people over the past couple months who just hate the government. They hate people. They hate the government. And they want to attack these different facilities because they want to cause chaos. It's not because they necessarily support Trump. It's not because they necessarily support Harris. They're just crazy people who belong to these groups and want to take out government facilities. That's the best guess. If there's anything more, I don't know, but we're going to find out. And as well, I did notice one other thing about Philippi, Skylar Philippi, is that when I was looking through his social media posts, I noticed that he has a 3D printer and he is very well known for printing guns, weapons with his 3D printer. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm starting to see the angle now because we know, of course, the government wants to take out anyone using a 3D printer to print guns. And sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. Of course, there's a law-abiding citizens, or if they're going to print out 3D guns out of a printer, they're going to use them lawfully. When a criminal, they're either going to print their guns out and use them unlawfully, or they're going to buy guns and use them unlawfully, or they'll steal guns and use them unlawfully. It all comes down to law-abiding citizens, right? But I thought that was very interesting that all this is going on with this guy. Again, Skylar Robert Philippi, 24 years old. I believe he lives in Columbia, Tennessee. And that's great, crazy story. So be sure to keep an eye on that and see what happens to him. Allison says, the night before last, when the lightning and thunder, we had lights going on and off on their own, coffee pot and microwave going off, and the electric went off. Very strange. That is strange, Allison. And I know there's a lot of weird stuff going on right now. Somebody, and it might have been one of you, was commenting on Facebook last night that they saw pink lightning, which is also really unusual. I'm not aware of anybody who typically uses or sees, pink lightning. I've got some of my own weird stuff going on. My computer right now is making some really strange noises. And I was hacked last week, and there are weird things going on right now with electricity, with appliances. My cell phone, for some reason, I don't know if it's part of the hacking, but I have entire text streams that just disappear and then pop back up later on. As an example, the other day, I look at my phone all the time. I had no new messages. And then all of a sudden I looked at it and I had several new messages, although coming from like 10:30 in the morning. I never saw any of them until later in the evening. And then I had text messaged my son who was out of town. And I thought it was odd that he never answered me back. And the next morning I go through my phone, still no message from him. Can't even find the text thread with him. And I'm playing with my phone and then it magically pops back up again. I don't know what's going on, but I feel you. There's something weird happening. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's somebody practicing something up in space, some of the stuff they're getting ready to do to us. Who knows? Who knows? My laptop right now is really loud, like it's really thinking or its machines are going crazy right now, but everything's fine. We will be carrying on. I don't expect any interruptions to the show unless people start reporting me again like they did yesterday. But what would be a show if nobody reported me, right? And so some of the other things we're going to talk about, obviously, and move on to, they're going to come after Elon Musk. There's no question about it. They're going to come after him. I want to talk about ICE and how many illegals have actually been convicted of various crimes. We're going to break down those numbers. Trump has some new endorsements. We'll get into that. I've got several examples of irregularities, if you want to call it that, to keep me from being banned on social media. We'll call them voting irregularities. We're going to break those down. I've got some videos for you guys. Good morning, Karen. So we'll talk about that a little bit. I want to show you a video of a Harris rally where they're busing in attendees. You know how if you look at a Trump rally and you see masses of people, thousands of people lining the streets, thousands of people in overflow, not at a Harris rally. They're busing people in. I mean, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. And something I definitely plan to get to today is Slade Somer. You guys probably don't even remember that name. I didn't remember that name, and then I had to be refreshed. Slade Somer, he was the editor-in-chief of a publication. He's a good friend of, guess who? Podesto. And he is the person who debunked Pizzagate. Well, he was just arrested for some very atrocious crimes towards children. So we're going to get to that also here in a little bit. So much to talk about, so much to cover. Before we end the show, or as we end the show, so make sure if you can either stick around or come back for that or watch it later. I'm going to play a little promo, for Trump that Elon Musk released. And I thought it was pretty interesting. It's got some really neat characters, different elements in it that we don't normally see in pro-Trump ads. So I want to make sure I play that because Elon put his own little spill in it. And the McCloskeys are featured, by the way. Mark and his wife are featured in this little promo. I'm playing it at the end because it's probably going to get me in trouble. So at least we can have the show. And then at the end, if they decide to delete that portion or silence it or all the other things, every single day I get warnings about the show and they're always deleting it or telling me that it can't play in numerous countries and who knows what else. But you know what? It's okay. It is okay. Today's going to be one of those days. Allison says, early this morning, I watched Joe Rogan interview with Elon Musk and it was great. Yes, please. If you haven't watched it, please watch it. Elon Musk is a fantastic person. And when Trump wins today, when Trump wins this election, Elon Musk is the person we need to thank. Obviously, we've got to thank Trump, number one. But if it weren't for Elon Musk, I don't think Trump would win. I really don't. And the reason why is because Elon donated the money to form America PAC. America PAC is the group that went out and had people like myself canvassing all across battleground states, getting out the vote for voters who don't normally vote, low turnout voters. That's what we're banking on in this election. I'm saying it only now. I said I wasn't going to say it till after the election, but as I explained yesterday, Dan Bongino had an entire interview and talked about it. The cat's out of the bag, so I think it's okay for me to talk about. But our goal is to win this election through those voters who don't typically vote, low voter turnout, people who may or may not have voted in prior elections, people you can't count on to vote, who don't typically vote. You go to these people and you say, hey, this time we need your vote. This time your vote does count. Don't think it doesn't. I know all of us tend to think our votes don't count, but in this election, your vote does count. And trust me, when I drove up to a mountaintop or went down some holler where I thought people were going to murder me and explain to them that I'm there because their vote counts, man, their entire demeanor changed. They were thrilled to death. All of these people, Trump supporters, trust me, big Trump supporters. And we're going to be watching the results today. I'm sure I'll be posting on it throughout the day on various social media channels. And then tomorrow, we're going to have Colonel Joe Adams join us. And boy, we're going to have a lot to talk about. But will we know anything at the end of the day today? If we get it in the early vote, which is the plan, if we get it in the early vote, we may know something today. We might. If we know we're winning those battleground states and we're ahead in those battleground states, we really may know what we need right now. And then all we got to do, good morning, Annette, we just have to watch for, of course, the shenanigans. We're going to talk about some of those shenanigans in a minute, but we'll have to watch for some of that. Remember, what happened in, was it Georgia, where all of a sudden, a water pipe broke? And was that Georgia or was that Arizona, where the water pipe broke? And then all of a sudden the ballot count jumped. I've got photos of it. I've got video of it. It happened. If you watch 2000 Mules, you'll see it all. Allison, if Harris gets into office, we will not have a First or Second Amendment rights. You got that right, Allison. We're going to be talking about that here in about 2 seconds. And Jay, I think we will know something late today unless they stop counting. Well, here's the problem, Jay, is that Pennsylvania Supreme Court did make a ruling last night, which I think is fantastic. When I was in Georgia, I got to meet a member of the Supreme Court. I did not talk to them about politics. They are absolutely forbidden to talk about candidates or who they support, etc. They can't talk about it. But I'll tell you, this person, who shall remain nameless, was a really nice person. And I have a lot of faith in the Georgia Supreme Court. I really do. And so they did pass last night, or upheld the fact that these mail-in ballots cannot be counted for the next 5 days, because Pennsylvania said, well, hey, we might not know anything until Saturday. And the Supreme Court says, nah, maybe not. Maybe not, Democrats. But Arizona and a couple of other states might really hold us up. Arizona, again, saying they may not know election results for 10 to 13 days after today. Some other states saying the same thing. Come on, why can't you count the ballots? Just get out and count the ballots. It makes no sense whatsoever that in this day and time. And of course, we all worry. People will tell us we're crazy and conspiracy theorists and everything else. But yes, I do absolutely worry that if they stop the election tonight at any point, if they take 13 days to count the ballots, that yes, there will be cheating that occurs. I absolutely do fear for that, because as I keep saying, I have a hard time believing they will ever allow Trump to serve another 4 years. Does that mean he can't win? No. I think that the only way he won't win is if there is massive, just massive cheating. Because I know, and I'm not saying this as myself, as just some random person who likes Trump. I'm saying this because I was there. I mean, Georgia specifically, I was there for 42 days. I talked to people. I talked to thousands of people. And I'm telling you that Georgia, those people will definitely vote Trump. And I also know that all of the other battleground states have the same results. So I know that we can win in a landslide. We will win in a landslide in a free and fair election. But will we have a free and fair election? That's the question. And I don't want to be negative today. So we're just going to say, yes, Trump definitely has it in a landslide in the early voting. I can't wait to see it play out. Will he be able to serve those 4-year term? I don't know. We'll be talking about that probably tomorrow and probably many other times. But I'm telling you, good morning, Tammy, Jerry Hoover. I absolutely do believe that Trump will win in a landslide. I think people saying that Harris has the votes are people who really don't understand what's going on in this election, because there are very few Americans who feel that Harris is going to make our country a better place. Very, very, very few Americans. You've seen the videos. I've seen the videos. Look at the endorsements coming in for Trump. As a matter of fact, endorsements. Yesterday, we had Mark Pincus. Some of you may know Mark. He's a billionaire founder of Zynga. He stated he is a lifelong Democrat. And for the last 4 years, for the presidential election, he gave $1 million to Democrats. No more. He is a Trump man now, because anyone who likes money should be a Trump person and should support Trump. And I will bet you anything that'll even a lot of these people who are, oh, we're voting for Harris. I'll bet you anything they turn around and vote for Trump. They're not going to publicly say it. The only people who are the people endorsing Harris? The Diddy Pack? I mean, seriously, people. I'm pretty sure every person who has been labeled as being at a Diddy party has endorsed Harris. There has to be some kind of conspiracy around that. That what if she gets elected, they won't get prosecuted, their tapes won't be released. I'm clearly speculating, but there's got to be some reason why all of these people are supporting Harris, which it's not unusual for Hollywood and musicians to support Harris. That's not unusual at all. But we do see all of these people coming forward to support her. And Jay, yes, Joe Rogan did endorse Trump, and yeah, I think that is a big blow, especially for libertarians and people on the fence. I think but people who are watching Joe Rogan are already people who lean towards Trump anyway, or lean towards Republican. I don't think there's probably a lot of diehard liberals listening to Joe Rogan, quite honestly, but I do think it makes a big difference because he is he has a lot of followers who are libertarian. And I talked to a lot of libertarians who told me they are not going to vote at all. And those are the people we have to worry about, the people who don't vote at all, people who may be affected by today's weather, right here in Missouri, who might say, well, I cannot safely get out and vote. I can't vote. People who woke up sick this morning, who don't feel like going to the polls, people whose babysitter canceled, maybe somebody's car didn't start, or they had a flat tire or couldn't get off work or didn't feel comfortable asking off work, something along those lines. Those are the votes we need. And then we have, of course, like I said, the libertarians, even though I have it here, the New Hampshire, what are their names? The LPNA, New Hampshire First Libertarians, did announce yesterday a huge endorsement for Donald Trump. And that is absolutely fantastic because libertarians largely do not vote at all. And they definitely typically do not vote for Trump, and they definitely don't vote for Harris. So now we've got some of the libertarian vote. I really do think, I really, really do think we're going to see a landslide here. Monica, yes, the New Hampshire libertarians absolutely did endorse Trump last night. And there are so many others. There's so many other people who have endorsed Trump that we wouldn't even have time to go down the list of folks that are doing it because there are just so many. I really believe, I witnessed it with my own eyes, that there are even some people who are illegal who will definitely cast their vote today. I think that Harris thinks they have all the illegals in their pocket, but I don't think so. I think they have a lot of them, maybe most of them, but I do think there are still some people who will illegally cast a ballot for Donald Trump. And the reason why I say that is because what ends up happening, and I wish I would have had the video saved today. I have a video of what typically happens to a lot of the illegals that come into our country is they're put on a bus. A lot of them don't speak English. They're dropped off at some corner or at a hotel. They have no idea where to go, what they're supposed to do, and they're just completely lost. We hear the stories, and trust me, they're true. The stories are of how illegals get so much money and so many food stamps and free healthcare, free tuition, free everything, free housing, everything they want. And we also hear the stories, of course, how they're sometimes given $25,000 to start a business. Those stories are absolutely true. But however, the stories we don't always hear about is, and you can see these stories, you can see the videos. I've watched some of them. I watched a video, I think I've talked about it before on the show, where there was a man from I believe he was from Guatemala, and his son was a young adult, and they came here illegally. They were bussed into, I think it was either New York City or Chicago. I can't recall. I think New York City. And then they were in a hotel for, I think, so many days, and then they were thrown out into the streets. And now they're trying to work for cash. They don't have a social security number. They're not being hired by companies. They're going to try to do day work. You know what day work is, where you go to a place and maybe somebody comes by and usually hires you to do hard labor, and they pay you cash, at the end of the day. And they were in tears, both of them. And they said this is not what they expected. that they left their home in Guatemala, all of their belongings, all of their family to come to the United States for the American dream. And then they get here and they're homeless on the streets. They have no money, they have no food, they have no job, and all they want to do is go home. But guess what? It's a one-way ticket when you come to the United States. We don't send you back, right? We may pay for you to get here, and I hear that they do pay for people to get here. We might fly you from one city to the other or bus you from one city to the other, but when it's not what you thought it was, we don't send you home. And so these two guys, they're trapped. They were in tears. And I would bet you anything these two guys would love to be deported by Donald Trump so they could go back home to their house where they at least have a roof over their head and some food to eat. So don't think it's a perfect story for every illegal that comes into this country. A lot of them end up in a very bad situation, including prison, including, obviously homelessness, as in part of gangs, and being sex trafficked. Don't think it's all easy going here for the illegals. I do think some of those illegals will be casting that vote for Donald Trump. And I know, Jay, I don't feel any sympathy for people who come here illegally either. But I do think some of them realized that what they were told and what led them to come here was absolutely not true. For some of them, it's everything they wanted, everything free. And speaking of, ICE released their latest crime statistic report when it comes to illegals. I'm going to give you some numbers here. And then, Jay, you're going to feel even more so as you do now. ICE released this report. 13,099 illegals have been convicted of murder. That means people who have come into our country illegally during the Biden term into our country illegally. 13,099 of these people have committed a murder here in the United States. Not before they came here. Who knows what they did before that? But right now in the United States, over 20,000 illegals have been accused and or convicted of rape. Of those, 15,811 have been convicted and sentenced, or I should say sentenced. 15,811 have been sentenced, but over 20,000 accused and are convicted or standing for trial, waiting for trial, somewhere in the legal process. This number is staggering. 425,431 illegals have been arrested in the United States for committing some type of criminal offense, not the criminal offense of entering illegally, which is a crime in itself. But those numbers are staggering. It's insane. And yes, Mary, Venezuelans, some of them are Venezuelans. Think about that. And it's funny because when I bring it up to Democrats, they just do not get it. They don't get it. Venezuela, as a great example, as you state, Mary, that's just one example of many. El Salvador did the same thing. But they opened their prisons. And they allowed all of their prisoners to leave. They assisted them in transportation to get them here to the United States. And now they are our problem. And then Venezuela said, oh, well, when they commit crimes or when you get tired of having them in your country, we're not taking them back. We do not accept deportations. So now we have these people in our country. We have to take care of them. We are filling our prisons, where we already don't have any room in our prisons, with these Venezuelan criminals. And guess what? The crime rate in Venezuela has gone way down. And our crime rate goes up. That is. And if you guys recall earlier this week, I was talking about the crime rate because Democrats want to say, oh, crime is lower under Biden. That is a lie. It is a lie. And I read the statistics to you guys about the actual crime rate. The FBI failed to report thousands of crimes. And it turns out that our crime rate under Biden-Harris actually went up. I believe it was 6.5%. I don't have the notes. It was either 6.5% or 6.8%. But the crime went up in these past 3+ years. Not down, it went up. It's a lie that crime went down. So no, yeah, they're all coming here. They're committing crimes. Not all, obviously, but a good portion. And there's nothing we can do. Just more tax dollars. More tax dollars wasted. So I want you to think about that. Because I'll tell you, I wish more people thought about that as they were heading into the polls to vote. And I don't think they are. And just think it's just going to get worse. If Harris wins, I don't even have to tell you guys how much worse it's going to get. I think you already know. I think you already know. And then look what they're going to do to Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Let's just say Donald Trump wins. Let's just say, and I think he will. If they in a free and fair election, he will win. So let's say that we do have a free and fair election and he does win. What do you think his life is going to be like? He's going to be living under a microscope. Democrats are going to fight him every inch of the way. No way around it. His life is going to be hanging in the balance every single day. We have Iran. Iran is definitely going to try to take him out because guess what? Remember, it was Obama that delivered that giant pallet of cash to Iran. Certainly not Trump. We're going to have the Hamas. They'll be after Trump because guess what? Obama, Biden funded Hamas. They do fund Hamas. Trump, nope, did not. So think about those things. Trump's going to end war, and war makes money. So all of these warmongers who want to make money, they're all going to go after Donald Trump. But what about Elon Musk? I'm going to play this video. Rachel Maddow. This is insane. We're going to talk about this after you watch it.
But even if Trump doesn't win, the Defense Department and NASA are going to need a new arrangement for all their rockets and for all the multi-billion-dollar contracts Elon Musk's companies have with the U.S. government. The U.S. government is going to have to either, unwind from all of those contracts, or Elon Musk's companies are going to have to unwind from him. This is an untenable reality in national security terms, now that we know what we know about Elon Musk.
Do you understand? Sorry, I had to mute myself because I'm still coughing. Do you understand what she's saying here, Rachel Maddow, MSNBC? What she's saying is whether or not Trump wins, it doesn't matter. Elon Musk is either going to lose all of his contracts or he's going to have to step away from the companies that he built. Either way, she claims Elon Musk is no longer going to be associated with with NASA. You know, obviously Elon Musk is a highly successful business person. The guy is a genius, not because of Tesla necessarily, but because of everything else he's done. He's got Neuralink, which has actually helped a lot of people who have been paralyzed. Neuralink has done wonders for some of these people. Then we have SpaceX. I mean, look what just happened with SpaceX. The United States could not bring those two astronauts home. Remember that? They couldn't bring them home. They were stuck in space. Well, Elon Musk, guess what? He rescued them. He sent he sent a ship up into space. He brought them back down, and I should say a rocket, not a ship. And guess what? He saved their lives. And what are they going to do? They're just going to take away his business from him. They're going to take away his government contracts. I mean, this man has put his life on the line for us, for Donald Trump to win this election. And yes, he's hoping and counting on being part of Donald Trump's administration, of course. And I think he'll do wonders as part of that administration. But let's just say, what if Trump doesn't win? Is Elon Musk, or what are they going to banish him back to South Africa? Are they going to tell him that he cannot be part of his companies any longer? Or if he is still part of those companies, if he doesn't separate himself, he's not going to have those contracts, with the government. How do they have the power to do this? And how does Rachel Maddow with MSNBC think that she has the credibility to even say these things? But they're going to do it. And they're going to do it. And just like one of you said earlier, they're going to be coming after our First and Second Amendment rights. They certainly are. We talked about this yesterday and probably every day before that. The very first thing they're going to do is come after our freedom of speech. Because when you can't speak out about what's being done to you, then guess what? It didn't happen, right? If you can't speak out about it, it didn't happen. Nobody knows. Nobody can come to your fence if you cannot speak out about it. And right now, X, of course, Elon Musk's platform, is one of the only platforms we have where you have complete and utter freedom of speech. Telegram as well, but Telegram works a little bit differently. But absolutely on X, you have 100% freedom of speech. And I can guarantee you, if Trump does not win, it will be the first thing they come after. They're going after Elon Musk first. And then from there, they're going to come down to the rest of us. They're going to take away our ability of free speech. And then as soon as we can't speak out, guess what's coming next? That's going to be your guns. I just told you guys a story about this 24-year-old Skylar Philippi that was just arrested, 24 years old, for allegedly plotting to take out a Nashville energy facility building with C4 tied to a drone. And how did the FBI get involved? How did the feds get involved with this guy? Because he was printing guns with a 3D printer. I mean, I'm not saying he's a good guy by any means. If this was his plan and he was planning on taking out this energy facility in Nashville, he absolutely should, be arrested, of course, and never see the light of day. But trust me, they're going to use that as an example to come after your weapons. They're going to say, oh, this guy that we just arrested, he's an extremist, and they're going to tie him to Trump and conservatives. And they're going to say, oh, people like this are printing guns. And I saw the photos of the guns. And they're going to say he has the ability to print these weapons. And man, they're going to come after us with everything they have. And like I told you guys yesterday, Kamala Harris, she said it on video. I cannot share it here. You can go to my Tabs on Tap Telegram channel and watch it there, because I know if I share it here or on Facebook, they're going to ban me. But it wouldn't even let me upload it as many times as I tried. But she said that if Congress doesn't approve, if she wins, if Congress doesn't approve her gun legislation, then she will write an executive order within her first 100 days to make sure that her gun legislation goes through. And that is going to be mandatory buybacks. No question about it. Mandatory buybacks. I don't know what you can do, what you have to do, and we're not going to get into that right now. But I would be securing your items. I would start thinking ahead, because even though I know Trump's going to win in a free and fair election in a landslide, I also know they probably have a lot of tricks up their sleeves. So I don't think we really know what exactly is going to happen. I think we have some good ideas. Jay, they will ban 3D printers. Well, they better not. That's one thing. 3D printers have so many uses. They better not even think about banning 3D printers, but they might. Cannot put anything past them, that is for sure. And they're already up to their dirty tricks. We're going to talk about these and kind of break these down one by one. And I really contemplated not even showing this to you guys, because I really don't want to start off being negative, because I am absolutely not saying that they're going to cheat and Trump will not win. I'm not going to say that. I know there's a possibility. I know it happened in 2020, so it certainly could happen again. But I do want to at least show you some of the things that are going on. And at least, let's just say, if they're not successful cheating, they're certainly trying. They're definitely trying. And there's a lot of evidence of that. This is solid evidence that, yes, they are absolutely trying. So I want to show a couple of these things to you guys, and we're just going to kind of break these down as we go. First of all, take a look at this photo here. And I posted this last night. Oh, of course, it's not going to show. I don't know why sometimes my computer does show, sometimes it doesn't show. I'll see if I can get it to pop up somewhere else. I see it, but I guess you guys cannot see it. Well, we're not going to show that right now, I guess. Wouldn't that be the case? Well, I'll try again here in a little while to show it again. I don't know why it's not showing, but I will describe it. And you cannot see it on my Facebook page because Facebook deleted it and gave me a firm reprimand for posting it. But I will share it I will share it on X after the show, and I will also share it on Telegram after the show, because to me, when Facebook gives you this huge reprimand, then it's probably true. And of course, the fact checkers came out in droves to say it was not true. And I got a big reprimand. They deleted the post and all kinds of other crazy stuff. And what it depicted, if you were able to see it, or if you've seen it somewhere else, it was a ballot. And under the boxes, it showed Stein, Trump, Harris. In the Harris box, there was a little dot. It was just a little pinpoint dot. That was it. And if you looked at it really closely, you could see that, it came through the printer. This wasn't somebody's pen that made this little dot. And, of course, they're going to say, oh, that didn't happen. That's not true. It's been debunked. People were coming on my page. Oh, that's been debunked. The fact checker said it didn't happen. I'm like, okay, well, if the fact checker said it didn't happen, then we know for sure that it did actually happen. Thank you, Kim. It's my patriotic flag shirt that I wore some of my days canvassing. I've got like a whole set of them. And so if you go back and look at this photo, and I'm going to post it later, it has a little dot in the box next to Kamala Harris. Now, you may not think so, but let's just say that ballot is run through the machine. I'm not going to say every single time it's going to pick up that dot and say, oh, that's votes, particularly if somebody fills out their Trump ballot. But I think what could happen is that somebody, let's say, votes for Trump. The ballot goes through the machine, and that little dot, is picked up. And trust me, it only takes a dot. I mean, some of us are pretty old school. And remember back in the day when we used to have to take tests with a number 2 pencil and we had to fill in ABC, you didn't have to like scratch the whole thing out. You could just put a little dot in there and the machine would accept it. Well, the ballot machines work a lot the same way. So there is a very good possibility that what would happen is you go to the poll, your ballot is misprinted. It has this little dot there. And then you fill out for Trump. You put your little mark in the Trump spot. And then they feed it into the ballot machine. Well, then guess what? It shows as an error because it looks like you voted for both candidates. Oh, it goes to the side. And then you have to wonder later on in the day, when somebody goes back through these, are they going to say, oh, well, this person meant to vote for Donald Trump. Let's put it through as Trump. Are they never going to put them through? Are they going to say, oh, well, let's put them through for Harris? We don't know. You just don't know. That's just it. You just don't know. And people can say that it's not true, but I will tell you what, someone I know, and somebody I've known for years told me, and that this absolutely is true because it happened to his wife. His wife went to the polls. She had a ballot and it had the little dot under Harris's box. So it is happening. And while the main photo that I have, the main post I made was from somebody in Kentucky, the guy that I know, he's right here in Missouri, and he had a dot. His wife had a dot in that Harris box. So don't think it can't happen. Don't think it's not happening. Most of you have already voted, and hope and pray that your votes went through correctly. If you haven't voted, please check over your ballot. Please check it over because you just don't know. Yes, Pam, the good old number 2 pencil. How will we ever forget those? That's for sure. All right. So on to our next example of voter fraud. You guys all know James O'Keefe, right? How can you not? If you're listening to the show, you definitely know who James O'Keefe is. So I'm going to explain a little bit about this so you know what's happening. This is in Philadelphia. So someone reported to James O'Keefe that, hey, in Philadelphia, if you're an illegal and you're not legally allowed to vote in an election, because you're not in Pennsylvania, and you go in Philadelphia and you go to the commissioner's office and you tell them, hey, I'm illegal. I'm not allowed to vote. Can I still vote? They'll say, well, yes, you can. If you're a Philadelphia resident, yes, you can. You just have to go across the street and get an ITIN number. And as soon as you get that ITIN number, come back over and we'll let you vote. Well, what is an ITIN number? It's like a social security number. It's a number the IRS gives to people who are not legally allowed to have a social security number. So it works in place of a social security number. Most illegals have to have an ITIN to work, to get their federal benefits and a lot of other things. So I'm going to play this video for you so you can see it in action yourself.
James O'Keefe here in North Philadelphia on 5th Street. Right here is the Philadelphia City Commissioner's Office the day before Election Day. And across the street is an NGO called Saiba. That's Saiba. And they are telling people to vote. They are telling people that all you need is what's called a TIN number. That's ITIN number. And you can vote if you're not a citizen of the United States. So we sent an undercover reporter to this NGO right across from the place where people are early voting, and she got confirmation that yes, in fact, she can vote with nothing but an ITIN number.
Yo sí puedo votar, aunque no sea residente ni ciudadana. Sí.
And then we went into the city commissioner's office to speak to the man who works there, working for the city government, confirming that you only need to be a resident of Philadelphia.
But when I say resident, that means of the entire United States. But you're just worried about
Philadelphia.
Oh, you don't care about anything else. You just want them to have a resident of Philadelphia. After that, you confirm that, you register. Whether you have a social security number or not, you can vote.
Obviously, it's extremely loud here. Music is very loud. So we're going to go ahead and walk across the street and talk to these people.
Hello. Mira, están jodiendo estos mamados.
Are you
Aquí están jodiendo.
Are you Juliesa? Are you Juliesa? And these people over here across the street are saying that you can vote if you have an I-10 number. This is the document that they gave us.
Once again,
I-10.
I cannot comment because I don't know, no idea.
So that's what we see there. Crazy, isn't it? That is somebody from the city commissioner's office in Philadelphia verifying with the person James O'Keefe sent over there to ask that, yes, doesn't matter if you're a United States citizen or not, as long as you're a resident of Philadelphia, that's all that matters. Go over there and get your IRS number and then come back over and cast your vote. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So when people tell you later on that these things aren't happening, you see it with your own eyes, don't you? You see it with your own eyes. These things are definitely happening. How wide scale is it? I don't know. And I quite honestly think that Donald Trump has enough votes that none of it matters. I really do believe that. But how far are they going? What are they doing that we don't even know about? And yes, guys, it is absolutely sickening. And how come, let's see, somebody asked, how come we cannot see how our votes were counted, but they can send us a message that they were received? You know what? I'm with you. I think, something I learned when I was canvassing, a lot of people I talked to told me, oh, I vote in every election. And I cannot talk to them about this, but I'm thinking, well, you obviously don't. We have you listed as not voting. So it makes me think that something happened to their votes, and the numbers were overwhelming in my own little, thoughts on these things. And I'm not going to get into that because I don't feel like it's my place to get into that. But I will tell you that there's a lot of things I learned, a lot of things I learned. And what I learned mostly is that you cannot trust elections. You just can't trust them. And it drives me insane that some of these areas are not allowing poll watchers. Right in St. Charles County, I'm told, I haven't confirmed it, I am told that Kurt Barr will not allow poll watchers from either Democrat or Republican side. No poll watchers allowed in St. Charles County. I think that should be illegal. If it's not illegal, I thought it was illegal. I thought that you have to have poll watchers. So or if a party wants poll watchers, that you have to have poll watchers. But think of all of the precincts in different areas around the country where there are definitely no poll watchers, and there certainly aren't any Republican poll watchers. So think about that. I remember in 2020, there were a few voting centers that they couldn't even find people to work there, period. And they certainly didn't have any Republicans working there. And then what happened is there would be Republicans sent out to these locations. They wouldn't let them inside. Remember that? That happened right here in St. Louis. They put newspaper up against the windows and they would not let these people in. So don't tell me that things aren't happening. And yes, Annette, I think Kurt Barr's a nice guy, but he does need to be replaced. If it's true, and he is not allowing poll watchers in to these elections, voting centers across St. Charles County, he absolutely needs to be replaced. And Pam says, I watched Fox last night. Their poll showed a razor-thin line between both candidates. Seriously, I'm telling you, Pam, all of the polls show that there's this thin line between the candidates. Even this morning, when they counted the first 6 ballots, 3 for Trump, 3 for Harris, they're like, oh, that's just what we expect. You know why? That's how they gaslight us. There is no way in a million years that Harris has even nearly the votes that Trump has. There is just no way. She's not going to get that many votes from special interest groups, which is pretty much all she has. And then the people that hate Trump, she's not going to get the votes. There's no way. But they're going to tell us that the margins are so close, because then when they announce, now everything will go in Trump's favor today, just watch. And then at some point, they're going to announce, oh, Harris caught up. Trump got the early vote, and then Harris caught up on voting day, on election day. And then they're going to say, well, we told you all along it was so close. And then she's going to win by like 2 points, just a couple electoral votes. And they're going to tell us, oh, it was so close all along. Lies. It's all lies. It's all lies. I'm telling you, it is lies. And they're preparing. Trust me, they are preparing. Here's a guy. Let me see if I can find the video here. Take a look at this. Stealing mail.
Which of it? I don't have the number.
These people don't care. These people do not. They don't care. They have their license plate on that car. They're not worried about it. That took place in Brooklyn, New York, in the Crown Heights neighborhood. They had a car pull up right there in front of people, in front of witnesses, opened up the mailbox, took the mail out, and took off. And the only reason why this might be significant, trust me, people are stealing mail out of these mailboxes all the time. That is not at all unusual. And Annette, I believe this just happened, so I don't believe he's been caught yet, but I do hope they do go after him. And what's more significant about this particular mailbox is it's in the Crown Heights neighborhood of Brooklyn. And that's an area that is heavily populated with Jews. And it is fully expected that the Jews in this area are going to vote for Donald Trump. Many of them have endorsed Donald Trump from their various organizations. And they do feel that these are people who are going to vote for Donald Trump because they think Donald Trump is going to give them better protections and he's going to create more peace for them, of course, in Israel. And so therefore, I do think Trump will get a very large Jewish vote. And so that is the only reason why this is probably more significant is this could be just some random person, stealing mail, thinking maybe there's some gift cards in there. Who knows? I think it's silly to steal mail these days because there's not really a whole lot in there but junk. However, is it because there's ballots in there? We don't know. I mean, we would expect at the time this was stolen that a lot of these people in the Crown Heights neighborhood were mailing in their ballots because from what I understand, they don't go to the polls, they mail in their ballots, these certain types of Jews. So we'll see how that turns out. I hope he gets caught. California, of all days, blackouts. Have you guys heard about this? Of all days, California facing blackouts. I mean, it's another thing. It's like you cannot make this stuff up. You cannot make it up. So we're gonna watch a little clip on this.
PG&E says there could be safety power shutoffs Tuesday through Thursday in dozens of counties across the state, including some here in the Bay Area. This is because of high winds, dry conditions, meaning, of course, a fire risk. Locally, PG&E is warning people in several counties, including Alameda, Contra Costa, Santa Cruz, Santa Clara, and Napa counties, to be prepared to go without power.
I mean, of all days, and they're saying that power could be out in all of these different California counties, which California is going to be blue no matter what. I don't know if it really makes too much of a difference in voting. Maybe there's more and more people all the time in California, turning red. No question about that. But what's even stranger about that, I'm going to go back and address a couple of your comments in a moment about the mail and some other things. But one thing that I want to point out about these rolling blackouts that are taking place in California, it begins today, and it's expected to last several days, and it involves several different counties in Florida. But this is PG&E. That is the name of their electric company. Also, PG&E is the same electric company that got into a lot of trouble. They were sued for a couple of the big wildfires that took place in California, where there were multiple deaths and billions of dollars worth of damage, a lot of people that lost their homes, and they were sued because it was believed that one of their wires came down and caught brush or so on fire, which led to this massive wildfire. Some of you probably remember that. But what's interesting is that Tucker Carlson just did an interview the other day talking about PG&E in California and just gave this scenario. Well, what if there was an EMP attack to this power company and and they lost power during, the days of the election and after. I mean, how weird is that Tucker Carlson was talking about this, an EMP attack to PG&E power company during this time, and now all of a sudden they're talking about rolling blackouts? Probably nothing, probably just coincidence. I just thought that was really odd. Going back to the mail, Pam, you were absolutely correct. Criminals are stealing the mail. They are whitewashing the checks, and they are doing it all of the time. And that's why I said we can't prove that this person stole the mail because they were trying to steal ballots. They might have just been stealing the mail. But it absolutely does happen. As a matter of fact, it's so frequent that it happens that there's a lot of postal service offices now who don't even have those blue boxes we used to see. They're removing them from the streets because so many people are breaking into them. It's crazy. So we don't know. Was he going after ballots? Was he going after the mail? We don't know. We don't know. It just happens to be in a neighborhood where there are a lot of Trump supporters, so he might end up with some ballots either way. And someone else said, Monica, the RNC has been on top of election issues like never before, which gives me hope. I am with you on that. One thing that Donald Trump did do when he was in office is obviously he did put a lot of measures in place to try to do his best to keep the cheating from happening. Obviously, it didn't help in 2020. I feel, some people will disagree, of course, that cheating was absolutely rampant, that it was. I believe that to be true. And then we had to count on Republicans in Congress to try to create some new legislature to make sure. But you know what we do have in our place? And I don't know all of the details, but I do know that Elon Musk has a way to where I can't get into the details of this. I can't get into the details. We will find out as things proceed. There are different measures in place right now. If Democrats cheat, it's not going to be like the last time. It will not be like the last time. Just like I said yesterday, we have that electoral act that took place in 2022 that institutes a 3-judge panel, takes it straight to the in place to check my word on it. And on that note, yes, I see my screen is starting. Somebody must be reporting me again because I see I'm starting to lag and reconnecting and all that good stuff. So that's okay. That's okay. We're just going to keep talking about it. And in Maricopa County, I'll play you guys a quick video of this as well. In Maricopa County, 27,000. Think about that. 27,000 mail-in ballots came in for Harris. And of these ballots, there was a mismatch in signatures. So that means that the ballots came in, they attempted to match the signatures from the ballot, and the signatures did not match. They were able to cure 15,000 of these. So that means they were able to, either get a hold of the voter or they were able to find a match for their signature. But that leaves another 12,000 that are not counted, that may never be counted. So I'm gonna show you a quick video here of Maricopa County election official talking about exactly that.
Of those approximately 1.4 million ballot packets, we have sent approximately 27,000 to curing so far. Now, what curing is that's the process by which we attempt to contact the voter if we cannot match the signature. We have cured about 15,000 so far out of that 27,000. We have until 5 calendar days after Election Day in order to cure as many of those as we can.
So think about that. That's 12,000 votes that may not be counted where the signatures don't match. So, are they legit? Are they not? We don't know. But either way, what the point is that they're catching these things. This didn't happen in 2020. They are catching these things. There are people who are reporting when they see a dot on the ballot that doesn't belong, they're reporting it. When people go to polling locations and they're given markers, they're talking about it. When we have these irregularities that take place, we actually see people are taking action. In 2020, I'll bet you anything that all 27,000 of those ballots would have just been accepted for Harris and at the time for Biden, and no one would have even tried to cure them. And as a matter of fact, that's exactly how Georgia was lost in the mix in 2020, because in Georgia, if you guys remember, what happened is as soon as they received, Georgia election officials received the mail-in ballots, guess what they did? They separated them from the envelopes. Well, the ballot itself, of course, does not have a signature. The writing and the signature and everything, it's on the envelope that they came in. And so when they separated them, they had a bunch of ballots that marked a candidate, but no signature. And so we don't know. There was no way to cure those ballots. It was impossible because they took away all the signatures. The only way to confirm, a signature was on the envelope, and we have no idea if you separate them. That was like the dumbest thing any election officials could have ever possibly done. But I can guarantee you they're not going to make that mistake this time around. And look at all of the different counties now where we are looking at and can see illegals voting. So many different states, even Virginia. Again, what was it? Well, how many did they have? Was it 1,600, 16,000? I think it was 1,600. But either way, however many ballots they had that were illegal ballots, guess what? They said, hey, we have this number of ballots that are non-citizen ballots, and we're going to go to court and we're going to make sure that these ballots do not get counted. So, and let's hope that happens in Arizona, where last year they had almost 250. They have that federal only ballot program. So here's the thing. We're watching. We're paying attention. We know what's going on. These people have all seen 2,000 mules. They all have safeguards in place. So I think it's going to be a lot harder to cheat this time around. I really do. And I think as we see the numbers play out throughout the evening tonight, we're going to see Trump winning in a landslide. I don't think it's possible for them to cheat as hard as they need to cheat. Now, I could be wrong. I didn't think they could do it in 2020 either, but they sure enough did. But this election is different. This election in 2024 is very different than 2020. We have thousands, hundreds of thousands of people coming out to vote for Donald Trump that did not vote in 2020. Many of them didn't even vote in 2016. These are voters that Democrats didn't count on. And these people are casting a vote for Donald Trump in this election. I don't think Democrats can do it. I really don't. I don't think they can keep up. I don't think they can even find ways to legitimately cheat in this election to get their numbers up. Now, that's a whole nother story with if they will allow Trump to win and also serve out those 4 years. We'll get to that another day. And yes, Pam, our eyes are definitely open. No question about that. I know my eyes are open. There's just so much going on. There's so much going on in the world right now. And every single day I see something new. And quite honestly, I could have a 12-hour show today if I played every single clip of a video or showed every single photo of the cheating or alleged cheating that's taking place right now. There's so much of it. But you know what I have not seen? I haven't seen even one instance of Republicans cheating. Not even one. I have seen no instance of cheating that would go in Donald Trump's favor. Every time a machine flips a ballot, guess what? It goes to Harris. Every time there's some type of an error in printing, guess what? It goes to Harris. I haven't seen anything at all, any type of mishap ever go in Trump's favor. Not one single time. So I think that's awfully telling now, isn't it? And I'm not even saying that Harris is behind all of this. She may not really even know. She might be as gaslighted as Hillary Clinton was, thinking that, oh, they have it in the bag. Because who knows what their people tell them. Her people are probably telling, oh, you got this, you got this. She doesn't have it. She does not have it. Allison, the Amish, Muslim, Arabs, and Somalian in Michigan supporting Trump. Yes, they are. And I even witnessed that. I talked to several people who are Muslim, some Arabs. I didn't talk to any Somalians that I'm aware of. A lot of Hindu. The Hindus are also supporting Donald Trump. So who is it? Who's left? Outside of, again, the people who hate Trump, some members of the LGBTQ community, some members still, different minorities are still going to support Harris. But overall, the majority of the people who are supporting Trump are most groups of Americans. So who is left to vote? It doesn't even make any sense. I don't even understand who's going to her rallies, and that's because she's bussing them in. Tammy, I really want all of this to be over, but I'm so nervous. You know what, Tammy? I am with you. I couldn't even sleep last night. I went to bed early because I'm like, man, I need to get up. I got to make sure I'm prepared. I got all these videos to play. And I woke up at 3 in the morning and I'm just online and looking at things and thinking about it like, what's going to happen after today? Granted, we may not really know anything for a couple days, but I think we will know. I think by the end of the day today, we will have a really good idea what's going on because I'll tell you what's not going to happen. If by the end of today, if we don't say, okay, Trump has this, then they're not going to give it to him in 13 days from now when Arizona counts their votes. I do think we'll know today. I think us people who know what we're looking for, we will know today. Because at the end of the day, if Trump hasn't won or has a very good lead in these battleground states, then he's not going to get it. They're not going to take a break and count votes and come back and say Trump won. That is never going to happen. So for us who are looking, we will, I think, know today. I would be beyond shocked if at the end of the day today, it looks like Harris is in the lead and then they come back, or if they're neck and neck, like they keep saying. And then after they count all these votes in a couple days, they come back and say, oh, Donald Trump is the winner. That will never happen, in my opinion. It will never happen. Never. If he's not in the lead today because of all the early voting in these battleground states, I think that's it. So pay attention tonight. We've got to pay attention. Allison says, Missourians vote yes on Amendment 7. Speaking of that, have you guys I have gotten so many crazy political messages. I get them from Democrats. I get them from Republicans. I have gotten texts day and night, day and night, day and night. I have not had any flyers on my house, and I'm kind of surprised by that. I'm curious if you guys have. I left a lot of flyers when I was in Georgia, if somebody wasn't home. And I'm kind of surprised that I haven't even received one. Maybe they feel like in my area, we have no options whatsoever. Jay says Republicans still tend to get out the votes on the same day. Yeah, but Jay, most of those votes are going to be counted today. There's only a couple of states who feel like they can't get all their votes counted today. So, I still think tonight we're going to have a really good idea of where things stand. I really do. Because yes, there will be a lot of Republicans that vote today, but I think that by far and large, now the only thing that I'm worried about is a lot of the absentee votes for active duty military, because as we know, the Pentagon did not send out enough absentee votes. So there's going to be a lot of active duty military that have not gotten to vote, or certainly haven't gotten to vote on time. And I believe a lot of those people are going to be casting a vote for Trump. So those are one of the ones I have on my mind. We're going to get back to all of this. Jay says, I've heard Democrats' early voting is down versus 2020. From what I understand, Democrats had a really good head start. The first 2 days, my computer's acting all crazy. The first 2 days, Democrats were out in full force, and then they just lost momentum. And then it was nothing but Republicans, Republicans, Republicans. And so I feel I have 100% faith that we conservatives have it in the early vote. I really do. We'll know tonight. I strongly do feel that way. It's when they break tonight and tell us we're not going to know anything for a couple of days is when the worry sets in. And you can tell we're talking about sensitive topics that some people don't like, because when that happens, I can always tell because my computer keeps saying reconnecting, it's logging behind. My entire screen just like flashed off for a second. So we're definitely getting to someone. Pam, does our military not know how many troops we have overseas? I know. And, and of course, when there's not, as I said yesterday, when there's not enough absentee ballots, they can do a write-in ballot. They can just take a blank piece of paper and create like their own ballot. That's something they allow them to do, but they didn't give them any instructions on how to do it. And they don't want to do it wrong. So they just didn't do it at all. So that's something I know is going to be playing out over time. There will be there already is an investigation, and Republicans are demanding to know what happened. Why did this happen? Because we all know that a lot of these active duty military members are certainly going to vote for Trump. So we're going to keep an eye on that. But as far as Harris, I'm telling you, I really don't know. I don't know who it is that's going to vote for her. And on one of these videos, I'm going to see if I can figure out which one it is. I hope I loaded it on here today. On one of these videos, I'm showing where there's nothing but buses at one of her rallies. I think this is the one here. Let's take a look here. Look at all of those buses. Those are all buses. Those are all buses outside of Harris's Pennsylvania rally. Those are all the buses that carried the rally goers to the rally. Where are all the people? There's no one lining the streets. There's no one outside of the rally. We see all of these buses, and you have to ask, are they paying people to come to the rally? Are they busing people in to come to the rally? Is it because they don't have enough people in Pennsylvania to go to the rally? We know Joe Biden had a rally of his own, right? He had less than 100 people there. I just don't think, am I the one that's crazy? Maybe I'm blindsided. Maybe I'm just so in favor of Trump that I can't see the truth. But I really don't think that Harris has the supporters. I really don't, especially in these battleground states. I just don't. Pam says, I am seriously embarrassed to say my sister is voting for Harris. She is a big NPR listener. You know what? Don't be embarrassed. I say it and I'll say it every day is that, our country, we are a free country. And if you truly believe in our Constitution, if you support the Constitution and you strongly believe that our military, our ancestors, all the people we have in our family who've once fought for this country, they fought for the freedom of all Americans. And that means Americans have the option to vote for whoever they want. I don't agree with their reasons for voting for Harris, but I respect their decision. I know a lot of people who do vote for Harris. I know certainly a lot more that do for Trump, but I do know people who vote for Harris. And I can't say they're bad people. They're good people. A lot of them are family people. Some of them are not religious at all, and some of them are religious. And I don't try to argue the points with them because I feel like it's their business. It's up to them. They can do what they want to do. I just hope and pray that people know the facts and they vote for Harris for the right reasons. Most of the people I know who are voting for Harris aren't necessarily voting for Harris because they agree with her policies. Most of them are voting for her because they don't like Trump. They just don't like him. You can't please everyone. And so, and some people have different things that are important to them than what is important to us. A lot of people don't even care about politics at all. I have a couple of family members who absolutely do not care about politics at all. They will not vote, don't care. They don't care who wins. They don't think it's going to make any difference in their life whatsoever. And it probably, maybe it won't. Some people it doesn't make a difference. And those are the people who aren't going to be casting a vote. And that's also why I think Harris won't get it, because the people who do care, and I think there's more of us than what there ever has been, are making sure this year that they do cast that vote. The people on the fence, the people who would be more likely to side with Harris, I think those are the people who are kind of sitting it out in this election. So I don't have a problem with people who want to vote for Harris. It's not my fight. I hate it because I don't want her to obviously get the majority of the votes, but I don't think she's going to anyway. My problem is not with my fellow Americans. My problem is not with anyone I know that votes for Harris. It's not for these communities of people who vote for Harris. I don't have any problem with any of these people. My problem is with the government. It is the government that's doing the cheating. They're the ones who hire people to cheat. They're the ones paying people to cheat. They're the ones who are going to take away they're going to dismantle our Constitution, take away all of our rights. It's not the people in our community. Some of them, unfortunately, just don't get it. They don't understand what's at stake because they don't hear the same things we hear. They don't read the same things we read. They're watching shows that don't talk about these types of things. And sometimes they're just completely clueless about even what Trump's policies are. And sadly, they even believe that Harris has policies that she doesn't even have. I don't know if any of you guys heard, but I think it was even CNN kind of outed Harris that she was making different conflicting campaign promises depending on what area she was in. I just heard this yesterday, where in one area she would make these campaign promises to the Jews, saying, "Oh, we're going to support Israel. Don't you worry. We are supporting Israel. We have your back." Then she would go to the Palestinians here in the United States and she'd say, "Oh, we have your back. Don't you worry. We're going to make sure that you're taken care of." She's making these conflicting stories. She doesn't have any policies. Anytime anybody asks her a question, "Well, what is your policy? How do you feel?" Nothing, absolutely nothing. And she lies. Sometimes she says that, yes, she's not going to change anything. Whatever Joe Biden did was just wonderful and there's no reason to change. Other times she says she has her own agenda. Nobody knows what her policies are. Absolutely no one knows. And a couple of times she has even recited Trump's policies as being her own. You know, a lot of people don't understand that when Trump was president, he actually did have a healthcare plan. It was called the America First healthcare bill. And the problem is that Democrats wouldn't allow it to pass. Trump was the person who took out the middleman when it comes to insurance billing. Remember that? You know how you open up your bill, you've been to the hospital, and you have this whole line of crazy charges. You have no idea what any of this stuff is. You're getting a bill from, let's say, an ambulance. You're getting a bill from radiologists. You're getting bills from all these different people. Well, he did away with all of that, where you get one bill, and there's nobody else that, no surprise billing. Well, that was part of Trump's plan. That's what he did. $35 a month for insulin. That was Trump's plan. Democrats try to take credit for it, but that was actually Trump's plan. It was part of his America First healthcare plan, and it was actually an executive order that he wrote to take out the middleman. He took out the surprise billing and the $35 insulin. But Democrats want to take credit for all of these things. And I think that Trump has been very clear with his policies. And he actually, I don't know if you guys remember, one of my first shows I did, I talked about Agenda 47. No one talks about Agenda 47. Trump has a plan. You can look up Agenda 47 and it'll lay out all of Trump's policies. And I went through those policies on one of my earlier shows where we broke down what is on Agenda 47 and all of these different policies that Trump has. Harris doesn't have anything like that. And no, it's not Project 2025. It has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. Jay has to make a run for it. All right, Jay. Well, I hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining us. Margie says, where is my white bus where the wheels go round and round? That's right. And I'll tell you, tonight's going to be very telling. I'm actually nervous about it myself because tomorrow we're going to have Colonel Joe Adams on with us tomorrow. And I'm thinking, man, what are we going to be talking about tomorrow? I don't even know. Are we going to talk about, wow, look at that. Trump's really in the lead. Look at all these votes coming in from early voting. Or are we going to be saying, gosh, it's neck and neck, so they're telling us. Or are we going to be saying, gosh, how are they still saying Kamala Harris is in the lead when we know that can't be true? I mean, it could go in any different direction, any direction. I don't even know. I don't even have any way to know. I don't know. But one of the things I do want to touch base on, and after I touch base on this, there's a couple things I want to talk about. Before we end the show, one of the most important things I'm going to talk about today, after I cover a couple of other things, is the situation with Podesta and Pizzagate. I have to talk about it. It's in the news. It's in the news. And we are going to talk about it because remember the guy that debunked Pizzagate? Oh my gosh, wait until you hear about the crimes this guy is being charged with. He is John Podesta's good friend. He's his good friend. And he is the one who said, oh, Pizzagate's not true. That's not true. I have proof that it's not true. Well, I'm gonna bet that it is true. I was really hesitant to say that a long time ago. I'm gonna bet that it is true. And Joe, so you're back. Yes, I am back. Thank you, Joe, for joining in with us this morning. Yep, 42 days in Georgia, but you know what? I am back. I came back on Saturday, not this Saturday, the Saturday night before that. And so happy to be back. I think we did a very successful job in Georgia, and all of those people who are still there. There are still people for America PAC out canvassing even today. These people are still there. I left 9 days early. These people are still going. Man, these people are heroes. And when we win this thing, guess what? We better have a great big fat thank you to Elon Musk and America PAC and all of the people for all of these different organizations that came out to get the early vote in the battleground states, because that's where it's at in this election. That's what's going to win it for us. No question about it. Thank you, Tammy. This is, as I explained earlier, this is one of my shirts I wore when I was out canvassing. I have like a whole set of them that I wore that have different types of flags and red, white, and blue on them so that people saw me coming and didn't think I was a Democrat. I don't want to get shot on anybody's front porch because they think I'm a Democrat. And a couple of people did tell me, if you didn't have that shirt on, I was thinking you were a Democrat and I was going to, kick you out of here. So thankfully, I did wear that. So a couple more things I want to talk about, going back to Trump's policies. And now this I just think is interesting. And Trump has reiterated again. He reiterated, you know what? I had a clip of it, but I don't know if I loaded the clip. I was going to, and if I didn't, it really doesn't matter because I can just tell you about it. I guess I didn't. I had it up there and I guess I didn't load it. But Trump just made an announcement yesterday. So if some of you heard this as part of his rally, that one of the very first things he is going to do is he is going to stop the drugs, the illegal drugs coming over our southern border. And that you all know how incredibly important that is. And he said that is going to be one of his first actions as president is to stop the illegal drugs coming across the border. And if Mexico doesn't do their part, he said he is going to tariff the hell out of them. You know what? Remember when he came up with that plan and he said he was going to make all people wait in Mexico? Well, he did, and they did. Mexico did do it. They did supply these people with with clothing, with food, with anything that they needed on the other side of our border. So trust me, when Trump says he's going to tariff the H out of Mexico if they continue to allow these drug smugglers to come into our country, he is absolutely going to do it. But some of the other things he's going to do, and some of these are funny, some of them not funny, but also all very important. Yeah, Allison, he's going to shut down the cartels because if you guys remember that text or that message I read from Lara Logan, that the cartels are allegedly part of a plot to assassinate him, that they have smuggled in heat-seeking missiles, a number of heat-seeking missiles, and they plan on taking out Donald Trump's airplane. I mean, yes, he should definitely go after the cartels because the cartels these days, as we all know, they're being trained by Islamic terror groups. That's true. It is absolutely true. There are Islamic terror groups right on the other side of the border, and they are training the cartels in their own ideologies. It's crazy, and it's happening. And at some point, we're going to have much bigger fears to face than what we do right now. Let's just take it one step at a time. We're not there yet, but it's coming. It is coming. So here's some of the things that people want to talk about. Some of the policies Trump has discussed, and I personally think these are very important. You might think they're silly. I think they're very important. But Trump has promised, if he is elected president, he is going to release the Epstein client list. Now, you know, there's a lot of people out there who don't want that to happen. And these are some of the reasons, actually. Kind of funny that he tells us what he's going to do, because some of the things that he says he's going to do is exactly why I don't think they will ever allow him to serve a 4-year term. I really don't. I'll be very shocked if they allow him to win this election at all. And I'm going to get into that. We're going to talk about that after I tell you about these policies. And so he's going to talk to us about UFOs. Trump says if he wins, he's going to have complete open discovery. He's going to tell us everything we've ever wanted to know about extraterrestrials and unidentified flying objects. I know I want to know. I'm sure you guys want to know too. Now, we heard a lot of it during the testimony, of course. Whenever they had the committee giving the interviews, and what was it, Garash? I can't remember his first name. His name was Garash. And he gave us he used to work with the government and gave us a very good insight into some of the intel about extraterrestrials and UFOs. But a lot of people don't even know that ever happened. And those hearings were very informative. But Trump's going to tell us everything we want to know. He's going to shut down the Federal Reserve. Have you heard that one? Even Elon Musk has said the same thing, that if Trump becomes president, he's going to shut down the Federal Reserve. Now, that alone is going to put an even bigger target on his head. He's going to eliminate, let's see here. I wrote he's going to eliminate, but what is he going to eliminate? He's going to leave NATO. He is going to leave the UN. Those are both things that he said he's going to do if he becomes president. Now, what about Diddy? Now, he hasn't made any statements about Diddy. Is he going to tell us who is in the Diddy tapes? That's a newer story going on, but maybe. He's probably going to tell us that all of these people are endorsing Harris because they think that she's going to keep them out of jail or keep their names from being in the media. But it's kind of strange to me that we don't already know who Epstein's list, who those people are, right? We had Epstein himself, who was arrested. We have Ghislaine Maxwell, Maxwell arrested. So how can they charge these two people with trafficking and have no traffickers? Who are their clients? We don't know. Well, Trump is going to tell us. But I do think that some of these things are exactly why they're never going to allow him to win, or they're never going to allow him to serve 4 years. And I'm going to tell you something right now that some of you aren't going to like, and I'm not going to say it again until after the election, because you know how I feel. I absolutely do believe that no doubt, Trump will win the popular vote, and I have no doubt in my mind he will win this election in a landslide, a free and fair election. However, this is where the however comes in, and I'm going to say it once, I'm not going to say it again. The powers that be are, in fact, very powerful. And our elections are truly just an illusion. And the way I feel is that these people who are in charge of our country, the real people who run our government, the ones Tulsi Gabbard talked to us about, and then later put her on a Quiet Skies fly list, these same people, they don't want us to know these things. They don't want us to, I'll bet you they're on Epstein's list. They don't want us to know anything about UFOs. They don't want us to know the government's lied to us. They don't want us to know who's on Epstein's list. They don't want us to know who's at P. Diddy's parties. They certainly don't want us to take away the Federal Reserve. That's for sure. They don't want to leave NATO. They don't want to leave the UN. And they certainly don't want to stop drugs coming across the southern border. Because guess what? They're the people who gave the money to the cartels to bring the guns and the drugs across the border, right? So think about that. Trump is doing everything that he mentioned he's going to do is everything they stand for. And they are very powerful, whether we believe it or not. They control everything in this country. They control all of the intelligence agencies. They control the media. They control the cartels. They control a lot of world leaders. They control the top of the FBI, the top of the CIA, the top of the EPA, the USDA. We can go on and on and on. They control everything. They control everything. People like us that are anti-establishment, constitutionalists, we control nothing. Absolutely nothing. The only thing we can do is fight by putting our vote in. And what does that do? Even though I don't believe that we have a free and fair election, us putting our vote in is how we fight back, because that is how we make it obvious to the rest of America and to the rest of the world that we are not part of the Democrat regime, that we are not part of that establishment. We're not part of that shadow government. We're not part of the terrorists who murder and pillage other countries. That's not us. We want something different. And so for each one of us that casts that vote for Donald Trump, we are telling the entire world that we are the majority. We are the people who need representation in our country. That's why it's important to vote. It's not because I think they're going to allow him to win, but they might. They might. We pulled one over on them in 2016. They never thought we would be able to come out in the numbers that we did. And because we did, they had no choice at that time to give it to Donald Trump. And then they did everything they could during those 4 years to make sure that none of his legislation passed. They fought him every step of the way. They took his money away. They threatened him with jail. They did everything they could against him, because we are no different than any other country in the world in which you have a regime that runs your country for a multitude of decades. It's no different. They might put a different face up there, but it's no different. And that's why I don't have a lot of faith in any of this. But we have to fight, and we have to put our vote in, because our vote does tell the world. Not only does it tell the world that we are not represented by Democrats and by this regime that's in power, and that includes Republicans in Congress as well. We are also not part of them. But it also tells other Americans that, you know what? We really are the majority. I've been telling people for years we are the majority, but I don't think we feel like we're the majority, because the media tells us we're not. And you know what comes with that feeling of being the majority is power. And I think that eventually, when we keep seeing that, hey, we really do have the numbers, we really do have Americans behind us, that is when we'll finally be able to step up and make a difference. So We have to vote. We have to show not only other countries and the shadow government that we are the majority, but we have to show our fellow Americans that we are the majority. So every single vote does count. And you know what? We'll see it all play out before our eyes, good or bad. We will see it all play out before our eyes. And I'm telling you, I hope you guys are. I hope you guys are prepared. I really do. I hope you're prepared because you need to be. And if you're not, please take whatever steps you can to get prepared because things are going to get crazy no matter who wins. It's going to happen. I don't want it to happen, but it is definitely going to happen. So please be prepared. Annette says Soros in forefront of these corrupt regimes. No question about it. Soros and people just like Soros. There are so many of them that it's impossible to even count them all. They're all, you know what? They're just bad. And you know what? I almost forgot about this clip I have of General Flynn. He's doing an interview. I don't even know who this guy is he's doing an interview with, but he makes a really good point because we know that Obama, Barack Obama, Michelle, they've been out campaigning really hard for Kamala Harris, haven't they? And he's right. He points out, man, they don't look very good and they don't. If you look at it, they don't look good. And the last time I saw Harris talk, she didn't look very good either. These people look exhausted. I think they know that things are about to turn. And maybe they're a little bit worried about losing the stronghold they have on this country, and they should be worried.
I got to tell you, they don't look like a winning team, man. Barack Obama and Michelle, this went viral on our page 24 hours ago, man. They look spent, General. This does not look like a winning team here. They look tired.
They're desperate. No, they're desperate. These two right here are desperate. They're desperate because they got busted. They got caught, and they know it. And they are desperately, they're going to do anything. The problem with a face like that is you got to be careful when you're dealing with people like that because they are desperate and they will do anything that they can to keep, to stay in power. I call him the Antichrist. That's the Antichrist. Talk about spiritual warfare. That's the Antichrist right there to America.
I got to tell you, it's not the face of victory. It's not the face of somebody who is sure in where they stand. It seems quite desperate. And many of the moves that we're seeing seem quite desperate. I mean, we were frog marched out by the cops for simply attending a Kamala Harris rally this weekend. It's like, what kind of small dick energy is this that you can't even let people who disagree with you stand in your rally?
Sorry, I would have given you an earmuff warning, but I didn't know that was on the end of that clip. Allison, Soros, Bill Gates, Reid Hoffman, just a few of the 89 billionaires supporting Harris. Of course. But the tables are turning. The tables are turning. Don't think they're not. Because eventually the majority will hold the power. And the majority is us. And the tables are turning. We're to the point now where if they continue to cheat us out of elections, I think there's a lot of Americans who will no longer stand for it. Now, what that means, I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't mean anything violent. I think there's a lot of things we can do without violence, that's for sure. But man, these people, they don't want to let go of their power. There's no question. Charles, whichever states don't have their counting done by tomorrow morning are cheating. I am 100% with you, Charles. There is no excuse to not have everything counted because early voting has been going on for a month. That's absolutely right. And you know what? Like I said, in Georgia, over 50% of Georgia's registered voters have already voted. And that's very similar cases in many of the battleground states, if not all at this point. So yes, that's why I said, Charles, I don't know if you're here with us earlier today. I've been telling people that we'll know something tonight. Whatever the end of the night closes as, if Trump is in the lead, then hopefully that means he'll stay in the lead, of course, especially if it's by far. But whatever happens after they shut down for a while, are we going to believe it if tonight Trump is in the lead? He's got this massive lead like he did in 2020. And then the end of the night closes out. And then guess what? 4 days later, Harris is the winner. They're not at the end of the night tonight. If Trump is not the clear leader, they're not going to come back in 4 days, 10 days, 18 days and say Trump won it. That is not going to happen. It is not going to happen. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. I hope you guys are telling me I'm wrong because I want to be wrong. But tonight, if Trump does not get it in the early voting, if we don't see a very clear lead tonight at the end, before they shut things down, I don't see it happening. So we're going to be talking about all of that tomorrow. Margie says Kamala looks tired and worn. She's had to do the tough people stuff. Yeah, Kamala does look really worn out. I noticed that the other day because who knows what's going on in the background. It does remind me of Hillary Clinton in 2016. Remember that? Hillary never even came out. Remember when it was announced that Trump won? We just never saw her again. She never came back out. I think that they had her so pumped up with the fact that, oh, don't worry, we've got it in the bag. You've won. You've got this, that she was so shocked when she didn't. I believe it or not, I can't stand Hillary Clinton, but I felt sorry for her. And remember all those people crying? Oh my gosh. Do you remember if Trump wins, man, liberals, and I'm not talking about Democrats. I'm talking about these liberals on the extreme far left. Man, these people are going to lose their minds. They are absolutely going to lose their minds. As a matter of fact, some of you have already seen this. Missouri State University released this statement to families over social media, families of students. And it says here, in anticipation of the upcoming week, which might be stressful for students, the Counseling Center will be offering the following: partnering with Majors Health and Wellness to provide self-care, no phone zone space on November 5th and 6th. Students will be offered self-care activities such as calm jars. What's a calm jar? Coloring pages and sensory fidgets. Counseling Center support groups for stress on November 5th at 1 p.m. and November the 6th at 2 p.m. These are weekly groups and no pre-registration is required. Now, one, it is very nice that they are taking into consideration the mental health of their students. I'm not even going to get into what I think about calm jars. I don't even know what that is, or coloring books, or fidgets, or any of these other things. Maybe those are soothing things for people. I don't know. But my point is that I heard, I can't confirm it, but I heard that the reason why the school released this statement for parents, and a parent actually told me this, is that because in 2016, during the election, when Donald Trump won, that there were students at the university here and in other places who were so upset that they laid in the middle of the street where people couldn't drive through in a fetal position crying. And so they feel like they have to start stepping it up and taking their mental health into consideration and making sure that these students have a safe place in the event that their candidate does not win. So, oh man, would you like to be one of their bosses? I'll tell you one thing, that I think we have in the bag, isn't it? Work ethic is definitely on our side. Definitely on our side. Not that necessarily people who vote for Harris don't have work ethic, but these people on the very far left, man, oh my, I better have some coloring books on hand. Now, the last thing I want to talk about before we head out, because I think this is so incredibly important, so incredibly important. Look this up. Do your research. Take a look. You don't have to take my word for it. Remember Pizzagate? Remember Pizzagate? And John Podesta, who was, of course, Hillary's right-hand man. And there's been so much talk about John Podesta. As you guys probably remember, there's photos. We all saw some of the portraits that he has hanging in his home. Remember, one was Bill Clinton in Hillary's satin blue dress, or it looked like, what was that? Monica Lewinsky's blue dress, quite honestly. And Bill Clinton's wearing heels and his legs are draped over the chair. He had one of, some people say it looks just like the pool that Anderson Cooper, his childhood swimming pool inside of his home. There's a lot of different things that people talk about. And yes, Dottie, before we go, I am definitely showing this video. And that video is something that Elon Musk posted, and it is a Trump ad. And that's how we're going to leave the show today. No question about it. I am not going to forget, because it is a fantastic video that you all need to see. But yeah, so look at this guy, Slade Somer, Sohmer. He is in Massachusetts. He is the former editor-in-chief of a publication called The Recount. He is John Podesta's very good friend. And back, remember Pizzagate, when people thought and believed that trafficking pizza was the code word for trafficking children? Remember that? And it was a really big story. I know if you're listening to the show, I know you all know exactly what I'm talking about. And this guy back then debunked that story. He said Pizzagate doesn't exist. He was one of the people that was used as a fact checker on the story to tell everybody, oh, that didn't happen. I know John Podesta. There's no such thing as Pizzagate. And the pizza restaurant allegedly where this trafficking occurred was in this guy's neighborhood. And he said, oh, no, and of course, all of us got reprimanded on social media for making these posts because, oh my gosh, it's not true. The fact checkers like this guy debunked it. That's why you can't count on fact checkers. So this guy, Slade Somer, he's been arrested. The feds raided his house. They took his devices. On these devices is massive, a very large amount of child pornography. In this child pornography, it's toddlers and infants. And I'm sorry, I know this is really hard to hear. It's hard for me to say, so I know it's hard to hear. But it has to be said and it has to be talked about. Toddlers and infants, a very large number of child pornography. In these videos that were confiscated on his devices, it's actually him, Slade Somer, sexually abusing these children on video. He created these videos, okay? Allegedly, there are maybe some other people involved, and I didn't hear any names, and I'm not going to guess of who those names might be. I don't think it's John Podesta. I think if it was, we would already know by now, or at least have heard some kind of rumor. But either way, they tell us it's not true. And then look at this guy. This guy had fantasies in his devices that the federal agents were able to read that talked about his plan to kidnap children, to lure children, kidnap, and then rape them, and then videotape these kids in lewd acts. So has he already done these things? Is that how he came across these kids? Maybe we need to go back and take another look at Pizzagate. Maybe we weren't so far off at the time. And look it up. You can look it up yourself. Slade Somer, former editor-in-chief of The Recount. Dottie, Diddy's arrest have something to do with this? I don't know. There's a lot of people who believe that Diddy's arrest, Diddy right now, the majority of what he's facing is civil suits, not necessarily criminal charges. It's civil suits. So a lot of people believe that, hey, they've got Diddy. They're not allowing him to be a free man right now. But guess what? He can talk, right? He can turn in names. There's probably a lot of people that he knows about, maybe things that the government could gain from it. So a lot of people do think, and I don't know if I believe it or don't believe it, but a lot of people do think that this whole deal with Diddy, it's not about getting him, it's about getting to other people. I don't know who those other people are, but it's possible. It's certainly possible. It's crazy because when we used to all talk about these things, about Pizzagate, about people selling their souls, for music careers and to be famous, I always thought it was kind of silly, quite honestly. I thought, well, yes, people do, give up a lot for fame and fortune. And yes, there are some people who are probably seeing this. I didn't expect it to be so widespread. And now we see that there is so much going on. I'm starting to wonder, is there anyone out there that's not part of all of this? That's not part of these satanic rituals or part of this Pizzagate or part of these Diddy parties? Is there anyone that's not part of it? It's so far reaching. I never expected any of this to play out. And when people talked about it, never in my wildest dreams that I think it was P. Diddy behind all of this. I would have never thought that. It's so hard for me to believe even now. We'll be covering that a lot more in the near future. Allison, lots of these kids come through DFS. Yes, they do. A lot of them are probably illegals. I think there's so much tied together here that as this stuff starts unraveling, now this the reason why I'm talking about this is because this is largely dependent on the election. Because I think we all know if Harris wins, all of this goes away. All of it goes away. If Trump wins, all of it is exposed. And another reason why they're going to try to make sure Trump does not win. However, Trump is going to tell us the truth about all of these things. He is. He said he would. I believe him. I don't think he'd make a campaign promise he will not hold truth to. So we're going to go one direction or another. So this election is about so much more than just our Constitution and just our rights. It is about unraveling everything that's really going on. It's about good and evil. I hear people say that all the time, but it's true. This is an election. It's about good versus evil. And who is going to win? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be evil? And if it's evil, where do we go from there? That's something to think about and something we'll be talking about a lot, potentially. I hope not. I hope we're talking about all the good. But there's a lot of evil taking place. Charles says, tomorrow will be a great day for America. Charles, I'm with you. I believe in energy. And so therefore I'm clearing my head today of anything negative. And I hope you all do the same thing. Keep those positive thoughts. Don't even allow any negativity to come into your head. If anything negative happens, you know what? We'll deal with that later. For today, say your prayers, think your positive thoughts, and think that we've got this in the bag and that we're going to win it by a landslide and that it is good versus evil. And this time good will win. So please, please, please keep positive. Keep positive. Do not let any of that negativity come into your head. Not today. We got to keep it going. We have to keep it going. We had the prayer last night at 6 p.m. We've got to keep the positivity going. Yes, Kim, amen on that for sure. All right, guys, that's about it for today. My time is up. I've got a video I'm going to play here. Elon Musk released this on X. From what I understand, he created this. I could be wrong on that, but I want to play it either way. And just so you know, take a good listen because social media is going to take it down as soon as I play it. So make sure that you take a good look because they will not allow this to stand. That I am 100% sure of. Now I just have to find it because I know I have it. All right, where is it? Yeah, I absolutely, here we go. You guys are going to like this as much as I do. And watch closely. You're going to see some familiar faces in here.
Put on notice, if you fuck around with us, if you do something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. 2024 is our final battle.
They stole our jobs and they plundered our wealth.
The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots.
The activation word, Ronald McDonald.
We will drive out the globalists.
All patriots go.
We will cast out the communists. America will start winning again. Winning like never before. We will bring back our jobs. We will bring back our borders. And we will bring back our dreams.
Thanks, guys. I hope you have a great day. I'm Tabitha with Tabs on Tap, and I will look forward to seeing you all tomorrow morning.